So,
Ouch.
let's see, they might give me some money back, but we gotta know.
Yeah.
the whole story. But I'd like
2 weeks.
with the.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we want the-
All right, great. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to open this regular meeting of the Bethel Public Utilities Commission for Thursday, July 14th, 2022. I'll call this meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First order of business is public input. Do we have anybody online with us? Anybody? Nope. So we will then go to correspondence. Couple of things in your packet. There is a memorandum from Tom concerning the request that came in from the Knollwood Drive resident, as well as just for your information, a notice that you probably read about in the paper, the Aquarian will be seeking a rate increase through PURA. And there was one piece of correspondence that is late. It's not in your packet, but it's at on your table. This is from Mr. John Hanlon, complimenting Kelly Curtis and Chris McCollum for what he says is excellent service. So thank you, Kelly, and
Did he have an address? I'm thinking Elgin.
he did not put
He
the
didn't
address
put
on.
the
You didn't put it in there, yeah.
Now, there was one guy we helped out on, it was either Elgin or Whitney, that he was quite impressed that we're.
That's the one.
Probably it.
Yeah, I've spoken with Mr. Hanlon
Oh, yeah.
before, that he does live in that area.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's it. Okay, anyway, always nice to pass along good news. So congratulations to you guys. Moving on to minutes. We have two to approve. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting of June 16th, or excuse me, yeah, June 16th. I'll second. Any comments, questions, corrections? Hearing none. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting of June 28th, 2022. Is there a second?
Sorry.
All right, second by Dino. Any questions, comments, corrections? Hearing none, those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, that carries. Moving on to financial report, Brad, I'll turn the floor to you.
So here's the preliminary June 30th financial report. We're still paying bills for the old year. Tom and Kelly are pretty on top of their bills. I don't expect to see a ton more bills coming in for them, but there will be some outstanding issues. So this will change a little bit when it's finally audited. But here's where we stand as of when I did this earlier this week. So we're in a good spot for both water and sewer at this time. I think the only things that look out of line are the things we talked about earlier. Some of the maintenance items. But otherwise, we're in a really good spot, especially for June 30th. And especially for what we've had happen utility wise. The utilities are in a good spot. We don't have the numbers for the fourth quarter for gasoline usage for utility department yet. So that's not been booked. That's why that number hasn't changed. As soon as we get that report from Public Works, we'll do that journal entry to charge utilities. But otherwise, we're in good shape.
Here, hold on just a minute. Marty was trying to call me. I wonder if he's trying, if he's having.
He's probably using Kathy's log on.
Okay.
She'd sent an email out to use the
Yeah.
one on the agenda.
Yeah,
There he is calling me.
okay. Well, let's hold on for a minute.
Marty. Yes, use the link that is on the agenda for this meeting. Or you could go to one of the old Board of Selectmen agendas and use that link.
feel bad. you missed
They're the
the
same.
Part of the meeting.
Okay, yeah, they're the same. Okay, thanks, bye.
All right, so he's gonna, all right, so Brad, were you done with the,
I'm done. I'm just waiting to see if anybody had any questions.
well, I'll put a motion on the floor to accept the financial report as presented. Okay, any other questions? No, hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. All right, let me get to the page with the invoices. I'll put a motion on the floor that we approve the invoices dated July 13th, 2022. In the amount, there are 4 items, that total $13,545.63. A second?
Second.
Okay, so I'll give you a couple minutes to look those over. Tom, anything remarkable about these?
No, on Bergstrom, it's, this bill is for getting us into the bidding, phase of the contract.
Yeah, okay. Any questions? All right, if not, I'll try your minds. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Just so you know, like these invoices that we approved today that are all June invoices, they'll all get booked in June, so you won't see them on the July report. So
Okay.
that's what I was talking about there. There's still some outstanding invoices.
Great. Nothing to report on new business. I'll move on to director's report. Tom?
Just a couple of quick items. Last couple of state health department related, they came out with action levels on a couple of the chemicals that you're hearing in the news, PFAS. They came up with action levels on 4 of those chemicals. They're not enforceable MCLs, but they've been based on scientific studies of relevant health, impacts that they've seen on laboratory animals. So PFAS has been in the news quite a bit. I know EPA is moving towards, some kind of action on that. So the state health department decided to come out with an action level. Again, it's not an enforceable item, but of the 4 that they set, we did test our water, both the current wells we're using and the new well that's going to go online, the Bergstrom well. On the 2 Maple wells, 2 of those 4, we had a non-detect. And the other 2 items, we did have a detect in the single digits and they were both below the action level. So PFAS is out there. It's in, a lot of different products that we've been exposed to basically for most of our lifetimes. The Bergstrom well had 1 detect, again, a small single digit number on one of those items and non-detects on the others. So
What is the action level?
they said, I didn't bring that with me. They set an action level of 10 and an action level of 16 on, again, it's alphabet soup, so don't hold me to which ones were which. But on the Bergstrom well, we had a, and this is in parts per trillion. We had a hit on Bergstrom of 2 parts per trillion. And on the 2 Maple wells, we had a hit of, I think, 4 and 3. So we are below the action levels on both, but we'll see where enforcement is going to follow.
Historically, there's never been anything out there. No firefighting foam school or.
Yeah, I think
There
they've
is-
been passing laws to kind of restrict some of that. So I think the firefighting, they've kind of, and you guys may know more about that than I do, but I think they've now restricted any of that product being used as foam. But it's in nonstick cookware, it's in any water repellent clothing, it's in like the non-stain carpeting and fabrics and stuff like that. So we've all been exposed to it, basically. But the health department wants to get communications out. A lot of the other utilities have put some information on their website. So I followed through since they asked if you did do testing to basically get some information out there. So I do have something on our website. There's a PFAS information page. And I gave a couple of background pieces of information and what our test results are. So at this point, I haven't gotten any calls from anybody, but it's out there. The other thing, and this just came in today, I guess the governor approved a recommendation by the Interagency Drought Work Group to put the entire state in a stage 2 drought condition. Basically, there's nothing mandatory at this point, but they want, further, additional communications and maybe asking people to kind of cut back a little bit on outside irrigation and, fix your leaks and that kind of thing. So the eastern part of the state, I think, was in a stage 1 from early in June. And the west side of Connecticut's been okay, but now I think with the lack of rainfall and other factors that they look at, they went ahead and took the recommendation to put us in a stage 2.
So that applies to us as well. correct?
It would to us as well. So along that, we've been hydrant flushing. We've gotten through probably 90% of our system. We've got a couple of sections left,
Mhm.
and I'm inclined to just put those off until maybe the fall.
Okay,
I don't think it's going to be any detriment to not flushing them right now.
Yeah.
But it's a good optic or not, it's not such a good optic if we're still out there flushing hydrants over the next, and we only have maybe a week, maybe a week and a half's worth to finish, basically the Hoyts Hill area
Yeah.
and the Summit area. So, but I'm inclined to just put that off until maybe the fall.
that sounds good. Is there any indication that the levels in the aquifers in our well zones have dropped at all?
Well, we redeveloped well 2A this past, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
We're on par to do well 1A next. That one has been drawing down. I don't think it's due to the drought. I think it's due to the buildup of minerals on the screen.
Okay.
So we're
Yeah.
keeping our eyes on that, and I'll probably want to jump in and get to that one. I got to talk with Ed in terms of when, but I'd like to do it maybe before Christmas.
Yeah.
As opposed to waiting until, the middle of the winter.
Mhm.
But I don't think it's drought related. I think it's just wear and tear on the screen and the buildup of minerals.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
You guys have any questions for Tom?
Well, we want to discuss the park, or is that going to be in Kelly's report? Well, when they going to show up?
We can talk about it now if there's a
What was
question.
that, discuss what?
The contractor Tinker's supposed to do those crossovers on Fleetwood Park before wants to pave that road. They haven't shown up yet to start work.
They're the only ones that are interested and they haven't got back to me. They just like, they give us an hourly rate. They're in the middle of working on that sewer now at 22 Fleetwood Park. They had another problem with that. They replaced another piece of the lateral there. That was the one I was telling you about a couple of months ago. But again, they're in line to do it. They just haven't got back to me when the schedule. I've done all the 3 things, got them all marked out from Hudson and up. So
Nobody else is interested.
nobody's interested now. So give me another month to get them in place. If not, we're gonna have to look around again.
What about Fleetwood Avenue? That's all marked out, right? The services,
Yeah, that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah, you got the
yeah.
service.
Got it.
Fleetwood Park and then Fleetwood Avenue, right?
We have it from Hudson up,
Right.
all those marked, because that's what we said we were gonna get them done first, before we got into the lower section. I had hoped that when we had the service leak there, the main break there, that we'd have enough time to find out who didn't have water when it shut down before, and they had it repaired before I could get it to every single house.
Did you
We're
bring
gonna
it
have to
in
do a
school?
controlled shutdown.
But the ones you got marked out now are definitely
Yeah.
the ones that have to be crossed over.
And I think I found 10 of them from Hudson, like I say, up to Mansfield.
Just when they're doing that work, can we make sure that they come back the ditch?
Oh, yeah.
Because the paved road, we don't want potholes.
Oh,
on
for
the
sure.
road,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
And I think also think there's some concrete in there too, so they're gonna have to, match up with the concrete too.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's probably the same thing, answer about my hydrants replacement.
Now, we got 2 of them done. We got 2 of them done. We got helium quality done. But the one at the top of Milwaukee is done. A couple of them were finished when we did Fleetwood Park. I'm talking with Pembroke now about doing this one with the steamer ripped off, because I'm hoping that they can come in there with a tractor truck and disturb as little as possible. because all those papers have to be pulled out and put back down. And I think because Kane has been doing all the papers in town, I would have them reset it, so there's no sediment there, because they do a pretty good job.
Is Pembroke not interested in doing any of that work on the?
You know, they are so busy, and they're losing one of their key guys at the end of July, and I don't think they want to do it. So,
Anything else on that, Rich?
No. It's just-
Okay, moving on to old business then. The item that was tabled at the last meeting, consideration of heating system renovations at the Paul Street pump station. And we were looking at weighing the options of going to gas fuel. So Tom, you want to take the floor and explain where we are in this?
Yeah, where we left it at the last meeting was, we were gonna look at the current bid that we have on oil and maybe look at a couple of alternatives. Dean was gonna look at what a gas boiler versus the oil boiler might be. Another option I think Dean was gonna look at was possibly removing the tank, the underground tank removal portion of the project. The other thing that was open was what's Eversource gonna charge us to put a gas service in. So I sent an email out, which hopefully everyone saw. That was not a insignificant cost to get that service run across from where it ends over by Mariano over to our building. It was a $29,000 add-on for that. And then I just brought up where the highway department is in terms of their paving plans for this year. And they basically are ready to do that probably within the next couple of weeks. They've already done the catch basins and they've gotten that squared away. They're doing that area along with, all the way in from Route 53. So all of Willow, all of Paul Street, plus that little dead end. And I think they're doing some other areas where their contractors giving them a price to kind of lump that all together. So I tried to spell out then in that email what the impacts would be on going to gas. So depending on what and further discuss with Dean's proposal on a gas unit, I didn't think it was going to be enough to make gas the leading contender, but we'll hear more now from Dean.
Could you remind me, I didn't bring the paperwork from the other meeting. What's the bid cost that we need if we were going to approve that today?
Well, the whole thing was what, 122,000?
122,890.
That's right.
And that included the oil boiler, and that included the removal of the underground oil tank.
Okay.
And I asked Dean to appear today, and he's here.
Well, to make this official, I'll put a motion on the floor for discussion and possible action. I'll make a motion that we approve the bid and project cost not to exceed $122,890 to replace the heating plant at the Paul Street pump station. Your second?
Second.
All right, for Rich.
Dina.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't hear very well on my right side.
I'm not talking very well, so.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. So any questions for Dean and or Tom?
But what's the estimated cost for the condensing boiler?
So, as you pointed out at the last meeting that you had, thank you for having me. The last meeting, there would be a considerable savings on the region, the vent pipe, from the oil boiler to the gas. The gas boiler itself actually costs a little bit more, but the way that it works out in the wash, going to gas would bring you below the prevailing wage rate threshold, so there's a considerable savings there. I have a total, and I don't know whether it's appropriate to speak out of turn so much because it's a bid, but I have a total of around $86,000 just to go gas versus oil.
And is that eliminating the oil tank removal, or is that still includes?
That's
those?
keeping the oil tank.
It-
So
it-
again, you sort of enjoy, I don't want to say a discount, but because the entire project drops below that $100,000 mark, it has an effect on everything else.
And What if we were to eliminate the oil tank removal?
Well, I've actually got a very good price on the removal portion there. So I think you can probably safely figure, as long as it's, the whole project is below that 100 of about $5,000. To simply pull the tank.
So what, the 5,000 represents what?
Pulling, if the oil tank removal was taken out of the project, the total dollar amount would drop by about $5,000. As long as the project is below that, total cost is below that 100,000, so we're below the prevailing wage.
So
Cost
you-
of the
you
oil
would-
tank goes
Yeah,
up.
so you
before the
would be
prevailing wage.
eliminating the oil tank, eliminating the chimney. Right,
Well, with the 85 number, I've kept the oil tank removal in the project.
with the 85. And with the 29, you still be below it.
I'm sorry?
With the 29, you still be below it. Gas, with the gas. Service.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
The gas service will be 29,000 to bring the gas line.
Oh, I see, with your,
Right.
So you're, just for my clarification, Dean, you said the oil tank removal was about 5,000.
correct.
Decent price.
Oh, so. Okay. So the 86,000 includes oil tank removal?
Yes,
What I'm hearing is,
Don't we have to remove the tank if
But
it's?
that included it.
well, we were thinking of maybe hiring someone else to remove the tank. When it came in with the large number last time.
Yeah.
To break it out, but he's saying it's only about $5,000 to remove the tank, and that's,
Yeah,
I
so
think that's a
Again,
fair price.
the way the numbers work for this project, once we go above that 100, everything has to include the prevailing wage rate as required by Connecticut law. So it's not only the work of the boiler, the subcontractor for the oil tank also has to figure prevailing wage. So the cost on everything labor-wise is increased.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand this. Moving to a gas system would cost 86,000, correct? Plus the 29,000 to run the gas line, is that accurate?
correct.
Right.
So we're looking at 115,000 versus 123, basically.
Well, we need to do an easement. So we're gonna spend some legal on.
Oh, so there's going to be more cost with the easement.
There's gonna be an easement that has to be prepared, which I imagine that would be Marty.
Yeah,
So that would, however much it would take for him to go back and forth with Eversource to get that
Yeah.
squared away. There's some cost related to that.
and then there would be additional cost in paving the road because we'd have to remobilize next year.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what that cost is exactly.
No, if Bobby stopped at where Paul Street ends before you then make the hard right and come down,
Yeah,
if he comes back and does that piece next year, he's not gonna do that at the same cost he's getting now.
yeah.
And I know he may want to charge us the whole thing. In my mind, he would really be charged, I think he would charge us the differential in costs between if he paved it now and he paves it then. He thinks, I think his number could be $80 to $100 per ton additional. And it was like 117 tons. So I don't know how that would work out, but if the differential in cost is going to be probably in the paving, would probably be, I came up with about $15,000.
Okay.
If he does that as a standalone project.
And do we have any idea how long it would take Eversource to run a gas line, given their workload?
I didn't get that far, but I know they're not gonna get there before he's ready to pay it.
I'm sure.
Well, would they get there before winter?
I don't know that either.
Well, you can check on it. You can check on it.
I can check on it for sure.
Plus the runoff plastic pipe now, so they just lay it right out. Everything is plastic now, there's no more steel pipe.
The gal in the office who does the sales that I talked to said, oh, we should be able to get you a service, I kind of threw November 1st at her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, but she's not in the construction end of things, so.
So I understand that, but
I don't know, I think going with the gas is you have less maintenance in the future of it, and the better efficiency on the gas. It's a condensing boiler, correct?
Yep.
And you included the gas piping that you would need to connect it from the meter to the
if we, if Eversource can't put the line in for a number of months, how, do we have confidence that this old heating plant can make one more season, just in case?
I think is more of the problem with the chimney, with the flue. I mean, if we're down, and I'll ask your opinion, Dean, if we're down with that and we have to do a spot repair, that shouldn't kill us for the season, right?
Well, I think the other part is that we'd be looking for this price to hold until next year as well.
Gotcha.
And for all I know, it might drop. The way that metals are going up at the moment, we're still seeing, being honest with you guys, just in the time that we've been batting it around,
Mhm.
prices have gone up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think I'd caution you there as much as I
Okay,
could.
no guarantee, in other words.
I think the idea would be nurse things along.
Right.
If you need to put a patch on breaching, maybe we can do, there's lots of things we can do. Obviously, you don't want to be incurring Band-Aid costs either, but I don't think the project should wait until the conclusion of the heating season. If you're asking me my advice, I would say, you know, go for it. Get as many things ready as you can. The boiler can maybe sit in a different spot. We can get things ready. We can get things pre-piped. We can, you know,
You can get the meter installed or meter bar in, you can pipe all do that, and then you just Eversources. And I'm sure we can put pressure on Eversource to get the gas line.
What do we feel the delta is between
Well,
oil and gas?
Let's not forget, you're running at a lower temperature than you normally would. You're not running 70-degree water, you're not. It's a mechanical room, it's not.
Dino had a good question,
You know
maybe
what I'm saying?
Brad can answer the,
Go ahead.
What's between oil and gas? What would be our annual delta on cost, fuel cost?
It's hard to say. The gas has gone up just as oil has gone up.
Well, I know that. but
It's
I don't
still
know the
cheaper,
numbers.
but it's more efficient, so I think savings would be there, but it's hard to say exactly how much without knowing how, you know, you're gonna have savings by putting in a new boiler no matter what you do. It's gonna
Well,
burn.
we know how much oil we burn.
Yeah.
Compare that to gas. We can
Yeah,
look at the current prices. What's the delta?
yeah, we'll have to look at it. I don't have that. before.
I mean, I'm inclined, I think Rich is on the same page, to hold out for the gas.
Well, I didn't ask them specifically, when can you get a service in for me, because we're not that far along, and I don't think they would have been able to give me that answer.
Yeah.
But in my initial emails to them, we were looking to do it for this season. The guy, construction estimate, he never jumped in to raise a red flag, so take that as what it's worth, but,
and we could put a little pressure on them also that they're ready to pave the road. We need the gas line put in ASAP, so.
Yeah.
So
And,
what,
and I had just a brief discussion with Tom earlier. You know, I don't know if Eversource included a patch on their excavation, so if we're paving the road, they don't have to patch their ditch after or something. There might be possibly, we're not sure, they didn't give us some
oh,
breakdown.
just let them put process back, that type
Yeah,
of thing.
and then, you know, pave the whole road.
Yeah, they don't really, they're not too forthcoming with how they come up
Yeah.
with their number, so I don't
Or
know
maybe,
what.
you know, maybe we can schedule a meeting with somebody and get some definite answers.
Mhm.
on a timetable.
What's the paving schedule time wise?
Bobby told me he's gonna get in there probably by the end of July.
Yeah.
So he's imminent, he's there.
Well, you know, if we go with this route, we're gonna have to, he's just gonna have to end at the driveway to the sewer plant.
Because that road,
And-
that's not prices, road is 6 houses, 8 houses. on that road.
Fleetwood Avenue is not ready for paving, so they could run over after they do Fleetwood Avenue to finish that road up.
Okay, so what-
I'm inclined to decline the oil-based burner replacement at the sewer plant.
I make a motion, we go with gas.
You know, it cuts out on a lot of future maintenance and everything. There still is maintenance, but not as bad as oil.
okay,
Matt, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Of Dean? I'm not sure about this. That's why I want to ask. He had mentioned that there was considerable savings because the price was below $100,000, we didn't have to go to the prevailing wage. Well, what happens when we pay the $29,000 to CL&P or Eversource? Does that push us back over and we're back in the prevailing wage?
No, the guideline there, it's anything that has to do with the cost of the project
Okay,
as you guys have laid it out. And I really doubt that the department would give you a problem for, that doesn't, never includes bringing the utility or associated street work, legal bills.
So that's considered
Okay.
a separate project,
Yes.
correct?
Eversource calls that a contribution in aid of construction. So when they do a project like that, that's what they extract from the customer, I guess. So I don't know that it would, like you said, not be a part of the specific contract.
I've never seen that happen.
okay. Just checking.
Okay, so, anyway, any other questions? Okay, so you guys intend to vote down the motion?
Correct.
And you wanna,
Yep.
okay, now do we have a formal bid on gas, or does that still have to be done? On a gas unit?
Well, Marty, you might want to listen in, but if this contract is rejected, I don't, when we went out to bid, we only got the one bidder anyway. I think we're open to just negotiate a price with a contractor.
Well, you bid out oil. You
Correct.
didn't bid out gas.
No.
I'm not saying you wouldn't. So Marty, does the utilities need to follow the same $50,000 limit for bidding? I don't think so, right?
No, it doesn't. They
Oh.
have been, but they don't have to.
So you don't have to.
The only reason, the only time you gotta deal with the charter and that is if you have to go back to the town and ask them to guarantee it or to loan you the money.
Okay.
And if we're not going back, we don't have to.
You
Okay,
know, if I could make a suggestion, maybe stick my nose where it doesn't belong. My wife tells me all the time. Perhaps rather than reject the bid outright, it might be better to accept the bid with an immediate corresponding change order,
Change order.
make the
Yeah.
alterations that you have, agreed upon. And in that way, you're sort of keeping your bid process intact. And it's very commonly done.
okay,
Great, thank you, Barney.
You don't have to bid it anyway, so I don't know if it really matters. but
Yeah, if you weren't gonna bid it
perception-wise, it
anyway,
might.
this step, I think, covers you just as much as going straight out to get a quote without.
all right. Well, then we can do that in two motions. So we can vote on the first motion and then have a motion to issue a change order to rebid or to requote as gas.
Yeah, I don't even know if you need to do it as separate. Just somebody make a motion to accept it with the modifications. And then
Just
I,
amend it.
but it doesn't really matter because you're gonna do both at the same time, so.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I will restate my motion then to accept the bid from Connecticut Combustion with the stipulation that we shall requote as a gas unit.
Second.
All right, Rich is seconded. Any further?
Second.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That carries.
You don't need a total amount or anything in that.
Well, I had already stated that,
You already
not
have the
to
one.
exceed 122,890, but it's going to be requoted.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it'll go
people
through with a
want that.
change order.
So Dean, you can give us a change order that we can accept and keep it
Yeah,
part of the
I-
contract.
Well, the only other thing I wanted to point out, as we had mentioned, there's a savings of, let's say, somewhere maybe just south of about $2,000 if you were to use one circulating pump as opposed to two. So I think it's in your interest to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got one boiler, one gas line. I think one circulator is probably okay. The job was laid out with two, but I mean, if you're trying to, pinch a penny here or there, I think that's a good.
You
point.
could make that part of the change order.
Yes.
Was it, I'm sorry. Was the 86,000 included the two pumps or one pump?
Two pumps, I believe.
So there's two separate zones, so one for the lab area and one for the rest of the building?
No, there's,
Like an inline.
It's just a backup.
it's a redundant, like a backup. pump.
Oh, just a back pump.
Yeah.
All right.
But Dean's point is you got,
Yeah.
you don't have redundancy on the actual boiler or the
Right,
actual
right,
gas line.
And
So why don't I write it up when I turn it back to you with the single pump and that'll bring the price down even more.
Does the board need to make a motion to give Tom the go ahead to do the gas line, to try to push Eversource?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably as a separate, just to make sure we're covering ourselves with the state.
yeah, I'll make a motion that we authorize the Director of Public Utilities to engage Eversource to order a gas line to be installed in the Paul, to the Paul Street pump station.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Cheers. Hey, anything else on that?
Sorry, who seconded that?
Rich? No, you, Dale wanted to know who seconded that. Okay, Tom, PUC project status?
Yes.
Anything going on?
Well, just wanted to, let's see, the water mains, the 2021 water mains, contractor got back to me. He's looking at getting his paving started again, August 15th. He was having some trouble getting a milling contractor for him.
On what date? I'm sorry.
August 15th,
August.
and he anticipates 2 weeks. Bergstrom, okay, so we advertised for bids on Monday. We have a mandatory pre-bid meeting set up for the 2nd of August. Bid opening is for the 23rd of August. Let's see, the next, I'm looking to do at our next, or our September PUC meeting, which would be September 8th, to be in a position to accept that bid, assuming that, that low bidder is acceptable to us. In order to kind of meet the Board of Finance's September 13th meeting, we may need to go with a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen to forward that to the Board of Finance and set a special town meeting.
I hate to put a monkey wrench in, but then we have the election in November, so the machines are probably going to be tied up for a referendum.
Okay,
So you might want to look at the schedule. Let's see how.
What do we need a
So-
referendum about?
well,
this
there's a
is-
special town meeting to approve the project, because it's over 1 million. And I guess it's because we need the town to back the
Oh, from
Public
the
Utilities
Bergstrom, yeah.
Commission.
Yeah, for the purpose. So I mean, all I'm saying is there's not a rush to get to the Board of Finance
That's
to move it
true.
along.
That's true, because it'll have to be after from like, I think the machines would be released the week before Thanksgiving. They'd have to be sequestered.
All I'm saying is talk to Matt so you can work out the schedule.
Oh, okay, because I was
But there's-
figuring late September, we'd be able to have that meeting. If
No.
Okay.
Well, we
Well,
can,
you can have the meeting, but you,
no, actually, you can't have the meeting, because if you
yeah,
approve
because you
it,
got so many days
you
to have.
have to schedule the referendum within a
2
certain
weeks.
time frame. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Are you able to add it to the November election?
No,
No, I didn't think.
you have to have your ballot certified by the Secretary of the State by the first week of September, so. So you can't, you could have a separate ballot with, then you'd have to have a separate machine in each place to put it in. It's just asking for trouble.
We may need to, I know we just bid it, we may need to cancel this bid, because otherwise you're gonna have to have somebody hold their price for like 6 months.
I would do it as an addendum. I would put out an addendum to the contractors that, I think we have it in the contract to hold their price for, I think, 90 days. I'll have to check with Marius.
That might be-
But if I've got to make that 120 or 150, I would
Yeah.
make that an addendum, and then they would just crank that into their number.
All right,
Okay.
all I'm asking is to coordinate the schedule.
That's fine, because I had
and-
no idea about that part of
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
just
we have-
assumed we could have our meeting in the end of September.
in a perfect world, yes. That's how that would work.
Okay.
It's too late to add it on the other referendum. There's no way.
No,
No,
no.
because we don't have the bid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it would have to take place after the election and before Thanksgiving. Would that be a window that's realistic?
No, after.
Probably
Yeah,
probably
Thanksgiving.
have to, Thanksgiving.
So-
Probably have to be
After
December.
So we're looking at December.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had that schedule before. I think it was the first referendum we had on the police station. That's exactly how it went. You had to wait till after all the machines were audited.
December.
Yeah, like
So if the bid
150
opening
days.
is August 23rd, if I have them hold it for 4 months,
Yeah.
that would get us till December 23rd.
And
correct.
It's really only another 30 days.
Well, we still have to
If you
then
did that.
sign a contract and so on too. So I probably need enough cushion in there.
Okay.
All right.
But
Thank
the
you.
contract can be reviewed before it goes
Oh,
to
yeah.
referendum.
Yeah.
You have plenty of time for a contract review.
Okay.
Or even if you wait an extra week for them, for next week.
Okay, all right.
All right, so anything else, Tom?
No, SCADA project is, design is continuing. I'm expecting their preliminary engineering report as the next step.
Okay. What do you got, Kelly? Supervisor's report?
Since we last met, we had 2 service leaks, one on Governor's Hill, one in Bethel Meadows on the irrigation system. Those are both tight now. We started a leak survey 2 weeks ago. They're going around listening to all the hydrants, all the valves to see if anything's going on. They actually found 4 service leaks, 3 of which on our side. So we're gonna get those scheduled in the next couple of weeks to get those taken care of. But they're still doing the survey. They're going in where all the transite is and listening onto the valves there.
Yeah.
As I told you, we got 2 hydrants, one's replaced, one's repaired. We started flushing the beginning of last month. We're just, as Tom said, we just finished up the Eureka and Chestnut side. And we're gonna put Hoyt's Hill on hold until the fall because of the drought. And I will also want to get up into the summit and get that flushed also. We're gonna start reading next Monday. And for the sewer side, Fall Street, we had the wet wells, we had the system put on bypass for a day and cleared to get all the gravel and that's at the bottom that was been plugging up our pumps. Other than that, that's about it.
Okay, great. Okay, before we adjourn, sir, I noticed you joined us late. You came in after public comment, but I didn't want to, if you had something to give to us or something, did you see you have paper in your hand? So would you care to make any statement to us?
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to apologize for coming late. I was actually rushing from New York and I got held up traffic. I tried to get here before the time. Yeah, so possible. I'd like to say that Tom has sent me an information regarding the analysis he did.
One sec, if I can clarify, this is Mr. Abba from 110
From-
Knollwood.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so,
I thought so, but you had your mask on last time, so I
Right.
couldn't tell.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
My name is Mark.
Yeah.
And then he sent the information, I went through it and I saw the analysis he did.
Yeah.
From every indication, we found out that nothing like that has happened since I was there. I've been there for 6 years. And the sporadic change in the consumption of water and sewer hasn't been like that before. Only that period, this thing happened and alarmed everybody, including the city as well. So we don't know what has happened. I don't know what has happened because I have not consumed that much gallons of water in my house. The test they did showed that the meter runs when you turn on the water and it stops when the water is off. However, I'm just wondering how that change can happen within that short span of time. And I would have looked forward to probably getting an alarm from the city if there's any monitoring information that could be sent to us and see what is happening in your house. There has been a change in the consumption. Is there anything going on? We didn't receive anything like that until the bill was sent to us. So I was saying that maybe in the discussion, we could chip it in. I'm happy to meet the commission, but if we chip it in, that if such a thing can show up in the monitoring devices that they have, and the consumer could be informed that there's a sporadic change. Is there anything that needs explanation? So that didn't happen to me, but I think maybe the way forward, this commission will take a look at how they can circumvent that kind of a thing. The other thing is I'm just pleading because it's too much for me. I'm retired and to pay 1,000 plus for water that everybody around my area, and in fact, it's just too much for us.
Mhm.
I don't have that kind of money. So I'm just pleading with the commission to take a look at it. And as well as, see how we can stop such a thing happening. It may happen again, and I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, let me, to the first point you made, so what you're asking for is some kind of a warning system so that if there's a leak or something, you get a notification that there's higher consumption?
Yes, what I'm asking for, sir, is the first thing is that I didn't consume that much level of water.
Mhm.
And I would prefer that, I would request that if at this point, the point at which the reading was taken, the equivalent of that reading, the previous year, could be used as my consumption for that period, because I don't know how that came about. That's number one. Number two, I'm saying that the water utility unit should have a process where consumers can be informed if there's any sporadic change in their regular consumption or utility consumption in their house. Is it possible to do that? That's what I'm asking. And the third question is, how do we, if this thing happens again, because we haven't found, we've not been able to find what's the problem, how it happened. I didn't consume it, and they say the meter is running well. And if it does happen again, I'm back to square one. Because I have not changed our attitude in the house has not changed. We don't do anything like ceremony there. We just take our bath and we go to work. That's what we do. And we don't have a swimming pool in the house. The only thing we have is the sprinkle. We sprinkle the plants ourselves. And that has been happening since we lived there 6 years ago. I've been doing the same thing. I've been doing that much. So just pleading with the commission to at least maybe build the equivalent of the previous year at the same time. And then we both begin to monitor the activity of the meter to see how and when such a thing can, occur again.
Well, we don't have any means of daily monitoring. The only way to see if there is higher than normal consumption going through the meter is the quarterly reading. And of course, by then, it shows up on the bill. That's how we all find out. We don't have any means of, like, it's not a computerized system where anybody in here can look at it and say, wow, look at this one meter. It's something strange. It's happening here. So there's no method of any kind of early warning. The difficulty this commission has is we really cannot modify a bill based on volume. There are any number of reasons why your bill might have changed at that time. It's hard to fathom, I know, but even a toilet handle that's stuck where it's running silently can consume a tremendous amount of water and you wouldn't be aware of it that time. And I know the department has had technicians out to your home to take a look at everything in the home and test the water meter, correct?
Yes, they did. They tested it, and that quantity of gallons that is said to have been consumed, even if you left that thing running at that rate that they say, it couldn't have in that. I think much consumption couldn't have. And it's a swimming pool. It couldn't even give you that amount of gallon of consumption. It's unfathomable.
No, it can happen. You can't say that it can't, because there's 90 days there between meter reads. We don't know what happened between January and April, because obviously we're not there. But you could have a toilet running, 2 toilets running that could consume that amount of water. It is possible. One early warning I'll suggest to you, your meter is downstairs in your basement,
Yes.
and you can see the dial on that meter.
Of course,
And you saw where that little red triangle is. That will tell you if there's any water going through the meter or not. The other thing you can do, and I've done this at home, at 11 PM, I'll go read the meter. When I go to sleep, at 6 AM, I'll read the meter and see if I consumed any water overnight, just to see if anything else was running. And that will give you an opportunity to check it more frequently than we're gonna be able to check it.
Tom, can I ask, is it, the meter reader comes there, how frequently does it come to read it?
We read the meters quarterly, so basically 90 days, every
No, I
three.
mean, all the cumulative information he gets reading on daily basis to be able to get a 90-day.
No. We read the meter on January 1st, and then we read the meter again on April 1st. We read them 3 months apart.
All right, so
And then
there's-
there's 90 days in between, and that's how much water you used in 90 days. And then you get that quarterly bill.
in
So it's
between
3
that-
months worth.
yeah, in between that, you don't have anything monitoring.
No,
No, we
No,
don't
we
have
don't.
any technology that does that.
we don't.
So-
In the note, it says that you have a water softener in your home.
Yes, sir.
Is that newly installed or is
Since
it?
we came there,
It,
the same thing has happened since we came there, we've had it.
Mhm.
And I've been using it, all the other months did not show anything like that.
Was there any, are you aware of any malfunction in the water softener that it continued to cycle?
No, my office, my home office is in the basement, very close to the, so most of the time I spent working from the office. I've never heard any noise or anything like that. And I don't know if something else that is not coming through the meter should affect the meter reading.
Does that have a, what happens is it cycles and it dumps water, whether 5 days, 6 days, or 7 days. Okay, you don't know that, but if it's set for 5 days or 6 days and she's running, she's flushing herself out, it can run for almost 10 minutes or 15 minutes. A lot of times it'll stick and run for 24 hours. You can dye. Have you put dye in the toilet tanks? Make sure the dye didn't come out in the bowl.
Yes, yeah, okay, send somebody that.
Okay, but if that water softener's been running, that bypass, you have to check and see when it flushes, when it back flushes, because that dumps a tremendous amount of water. It's not a closed system. What happens to it is, it runs for so many days on a clock and then it dumps. And it can run for 10 or 15 minutes. So that causes your meter to go.
Can a valve stick
And a lot of times,
Yeah.
where it'll
Yeah.
continue to just
Yeah.
run water?
Oh,
but
yeah,
you said
sure.
soft,
That's what it does,
sometimes
it's
I didn't
flushing
hear
itself
water,
out. So
But it is
what
possible.
you should do is just shut that off. Don't use it.
Yeah,
shut
they
the water
suggested
softener
that you
down.
shut it off temporarily.
It's got a bypass on it. You hit that bypass and it bypasses that softener, so it's not operating. So the only time you're gonna be using water is when you open up a faucet or flush the toilet. That's not gonna bypass. Dump out, so it's shut off. Do that for a whole quarter and then see what your bill is. Because that thing automatically flushes itself out. I've seen it with flood septic systems. People call up and say, I got this noise running for 5 days. I don't know what it is. And the guy looked out his backyard and it's all wet. The thing flooded his septic system. So that's what you have to be careful with. So put that water softener on bypass. If you look on the back, of the side, in and out, and you shut it off. And leave it off for a quarter and see where your bill is.
But that's a good suggestion. I'm actually wondering why for 6 years such a thing will happen within one period.
Did a valve, maybe a valve stuck, during sometime
Yeah.
in the beginning of that period. The thing with the meters is, they don't record unless water's going through them. So the meter just doesn't spontaneously the dial just doesn't change. You got to put water through the meter in order to make it register. And we showed you that when we had, Kelly had you flush the toilet and the low flow indicator spun.
Yes.
And now it didn't make it enough to make the dial move all the way around, but when the toilet filled up, the low flow indicator stopped. So that told me, okay, the meter's operating properly. It's not just running.
That's what
So something happened in that January to April timeframe. Could have been a toilet, could have been the softener, could have been a combination of, you have 3 toilets in the house?
Yes. We have three.
Is there one where it's not used all that much? It's,
Yeah, the visitor toilet said only used.
sometimes if that toilet's out of sight, out of mind,
And
it could be running and you just don't know.
the one downstairs, which is also visitors toilet, that's half toilet. It said only used as well. What we use mostly is the one in the master bed.
Well, it's not possible for the commission to resolve this tonight, but we have your phone number.
Yes, sir.
And I want to have another office reach out to you tomorrow or early next week and see, because we can't change the bill. The meter reading is the meter reading and there is a bill associated with it. But I'm going to see if we can help in some other way. So we will reach out to you early next week if we can get back to you on that.
Can I just ask one question? Do you have more residents? Is the same amount of people living in your house as
My
people?
daughter, 11 years, my son is 22 now, and myself and my wife. We take our bath in the morning and in the evening.
It's just, Tom has the history of the water usage over the period of time.
Yeah, I sent that to Mark.
And it does appear that it's going up.
That Peter was, is it big surprise to us as well. I was wondering if, initially, I thought somebody was using it because the person opposite us has just installed a swimming pool.
Oh, next door?
Opposite, across the road.
Oh,
So I said, could that be that the swimming pool effect or whatever they were doing there could have some kind of ripple effect on my, but as you said, if water doesn't run through the meter, it doesn't breathe. So those are my surprises.
Are you in a condo? Are you a two-family house or?
It's a single family. The single family. sir.
I wonder if the faucet could be. I wonder if someone
Outside
else,
what?
outside faucet on the other tenant, this possibly.
There one meter in there, Kelly?
I'm sorry,
Is there 1 meter or 2 meters?
1 meter, 1 meter, it's a
Is
single.
it- you- is it-
Single family?
Oh, it's a single family.
not-
house.
it's
Oh,
not a
okay.
duplex.
It's not a duplex.
I was thinking of the duplex, and the plumber got,
Yeah, it's up.
okay,
It's
all right.
really single.
Well, just trying to think of something.
And this was a winter period, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
you
It
know
wouldn't
what I
been filling a pool anyway.
Yeah.
mean? Or.
In January,
or-
Yeah.
But I would continue to just look at your meter frequently to see and write down the numbers and subtract the 2 numbers.
And the dye in the toilet.
But we will reach out to you to see if we can make some other help in some other way. But we will get back to you early next week, Monday or Tuesday. Okay?
Thank you.
You don't need to leave anything. We have your information, so we're all set.
Okay.
All right, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain. a
I
motion.
have one more
Oh,
thing
I'm
for,
sorry.
I don't, for Kelly or Tom. On the pumping stations around town, can we hire our lawn people to cut the vines and get the buildings washed?
Actually, we bought a pressure washer 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they've been flushing. They were actually gonna start to tackle that next week.
Okay.
Because it's a downtime.
And how about the cutting the vines and stuff off the buildings? I mean, I know we have a lawn guy doing some stuff. Why don't you let him do it?
You been down at Clark Park?
Well, make it
But
look
they're
like,
hidden. You can't tell where they are.
We went down to Clark Park, if it keeps growing, you won't see the pump station.
make it look like the Ivy League.
Poison
I
it.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, poison.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it carries. We're adjourned at 5:29. Thanks, Marty.
Look at the